Aloha guys, welcome to JRTV. This is a metaphor here, stop sign, suggestion, a pause in your ordinary day and an encouragement to ask some questions about the world. I'm gonna do a super breakdown here, all topics considered, the species itself, the LGBT and sexuality within the world, some on bad people, the usual breakdown, right? Philosophy. When you look at the world in terms of through the eyes of like as if you are all that is, if you are the consciousness or God behind everything, what happens is you decide that you're not so concerned about your own life in the sense of you have to be attached to an individual lifespan, body, not so worried as much about how attractive your body, your physical and mental genetic makeup is, because you're more interested in the species and how it's progressing and ensuring its perpetuation, not only because it feels like a community-oriented, global citizen-oriented approach, but because you literally in your future incarnations will be benefiting from your current efforts. So what needs to occur is an awareness of, as long as you like all of my videos, the fundamental themes are unity consciousness, marriage, because I believe that the highlights of life include marriage, not sexual tension or heartbreak of going from one uncertainty and half-heartedness of going from one person to the next, but rather a progression towards who you are, development. And by the way, people, if you care about somebody, you don't actively want to be intimate with them. If you care about somebody, you don't try to seduce them. This is the prostitute paradox, but it applies to many people. Many people just prostitute their body for body, right? So, but I want to get into that. I want to get into how people operate in this episode. So, bad people, for example, they don't like to explain why. Like if they want something from you, okay, let's say somebody wants $10 from you, for whatever reason. They won't explain. They'll try to get you emotional. By the way, emotions are just different patterns of breath. So if you're breathing fast or you're holding your breath, you might be anxious, tense. Manipulative people get other people in emotional states so that they can, because when people are emotional, they can't think logically, right? You go to a car dealership, they get you enthusiastic, excited, then you might end up purchasing something of a higher, almost beyond your budget. And, we need to recognize these patterns of how people do, like salespeople might offer, especially if it's women, they might touch a man, like just a light touch, and it messes with people. Like what it is it's people tapping into your chakra system. They do this with generally your second and third chakra, sometimes first. Sometimes manipulators will say, do you need transportation? Or they like first figure out what you want. Do you want sexual activity? Do you want emotional encouragement? Do you want, maybe you want food? Maybe Maybe you want money. Maybe you want your basic needs met. Maybe transportation, going to a party, whatever. Maybe they'll get you in a position where they are more of an authority. Be it their house, their friend's house. Be it they invite you to a restaurant, and then, all that intimacy is not, it really shouldn't be. It's not really designed for people who are not married. All that intimacy should, it's like, it's insincere. It's like, you might owe me a favor since I bought you dinner, or drink. It's just, if you're watching this so far, that's not how you want to live. So you need to be conscious of how these people operate, and also how the shadow self, quote unquote, how you operate. I've been studying a lot of Michael Green's books, 48 Laws of Power, and different books that he has written. Very, very satisfying digest. I listen to interviews with him and others, TED Talks, etc., while I'm working. And so I'm moving around and thinking. By the way, when I listen to audiobooks, I try to repeat along with all the words that are said, so it helps me to more rapidly digest what's being expressed. But continuing on, right? So what people do, whether they're conscious of it or not, or whether they're good or bad or not, they might do things like try to get you in a situation where you're where it's hard for you to say no, which would be in their car or in their house, or the big one is offering something for free. That is a major red flag. Anyone says, I'll treat you, or it's free, and also vagary. When people are vague, like, well, let's just hang out, I'd like to see you, let's cruise, let's chill, all of that. It's like when you plan your life out, even if it's with people that you trust, it should be intentional. It should be, okay, we're not just gonna relax. We're going to perhaps do a meditation. Ooh, by the way, I've got some. Hello, I've got. This is Oh my God, look at that. That's fucking lilikoi right there. I mean, guava. Let me pick some fruit here. These guys ain't messing around. I'm on guava. Oh my God, there's so much here. Pardon me, guys. As I was saying, bad people do not. They don't ask why. They don't say things like, for example, they'll say all types of things to entice you and whatever, but if you ask them, well, what are they really trying to give you, like MLMs, they'll all be vague. They'll be like, well, what are they trying to give you? We're trying to give you an opportunity, like vagary, right? So clarity, specificity, precision of language, that's where we're going. Formality, high class, all right? High class, you don't need to have a lot of wealth. You should be entering into the realms of what's it called? Financial prudency. But you should also be going with the whys. Okay, the whys. The whys are things like, so if you were to ask somebody, let's say you didn't like a person and you just said, I don't want to deal with you anymore. They wouldn't ask you, well, why don't you want to deal with me anymore? And you might have a legitimate reason, like maybe they were being rude, whatever it is, right? they don't. There are people in this world who operate. They're kind of like, this is kind of like a personality type that I've observed. It's kind of it's people who don't question. They're very oriented on structure and religion and government type of, and like the education system, and they don't really question, and they just kind of think blindly like a robot almost, and they're not very emotionally mature. They may also be alcoholics or drug addicts. It's just a group of people, and often I see that they're financially successful, so they're and so, but the point is there are different people and personalities in the world, and we need to learn how to deal with them. There's actually, I'll include a link on personalities down here too, along with another link. This is all stuff that I study, and I try to find the best videos on YouTube. So whenever you do click my links, this is like pre-sorted, like refined selections for you. So, as I was, now, a lot of people in the world, what they don't realize is that there's a lot of motives are sexual, and it's not a bad thing. Like, you can, like me, like I have an end game. Like, what drives me is, not just like creating harmony in the world, but and other hobbies, pursuits, but being with a woman, namely a wife, somebody who, is like me and I don't have to compete with, and is like my equal. I think people make the mistake of thinking that, it's a show of power to pursue a bunch of quote-unquote bitches or submissive people, be they men or submissive men, women, whatever. And then they enter into all these power dynamics with money and body, and it's not love. And if you're not making love the primary motive, then then lust might take over. If it's not in your intention, I demand and insist upon love and truth in my life. So again, and I think men, they think about sexuality frequently, and so men have to be very careful to not be seduced by women, and women that you wouldn't expect to seduce you can seduce you with just their words, so be cautioned. Okay, and furthermore, just being in a friendly, positive mood. Remember, breathing. It's better to be oftentimes in a serious, neutral, calm and collected state, so that you can discern if people are trying to mess with you. Even gay men, and I'm going to get into that. Actually, that's part of the discussion here. I think men in general have this kind of animal appetite, and if they don't masturbate or second chakra activate regularly, daily, twice a day, they end up, in both my experience and what my observations, they end up in this kind of it's like an objectification. They're just, even if they're trying to be nice, they're still going to be, and by the way, fucking when a man and a woman are like talking, we all know that there's like an element of seduction at play. Okay, we all know that, right? So don't pretend like you're just trying to be nice, and that's why I stress gender separation. Being cognizant of the fact, and all this, and pursuing and not pursuing casual intimacy, not pursuing casual sex, or being close to women and flirting, all that. It makes you actually more polarized and enthusiastic about women and the vagina. And remember, the pussy's ours. Our human bodies are ours. Don't think of yourself as a man or a woman. These are our property. We are God. Okay? And so don't think of it as, oh, that's it's the pussy, right? That is ours. All right. So, concerning gays, I almost wish I would have probably elected to have been born gay, just to spite, not that I'm a sadistic person, but just to kind of say, like, gay people can be respectful, gay people deserve rights. I think it's kind of the same problem with that occurs in the quote unquote Black Lives Matter movement. Is fucking people already know that Black Lives Matter, and the only thing that type of charged statement, I mean, it may bring people together, it may promote certain change of laws. There may be positive effects, but hopefully they outweigh the downsides of many people. Most people are like, okay, yes, of course Black Lives Matter, but we don't. It's a given. It's already, it's been established. So that type of chanting, what it might do is it might upset people who actually, for example, have contention or perhaps irrational racial bias towards people in the African American community. So, in other words, it may not be as effective as they expect to actually discontinue the few people who are racist. The goal is to eliminate racism. The way you do that is to show racists that you're you're a nice person, and that may have a little apologizing to. Like, sometimes I might apologize for white people's behavior, for example, or men's behavior, or maybe even behavior of my generation, whatever it is, whatever the prejudices and conflicts that arise in people's perspectives, we need to address these and acknowledge them. I'm going to do a push-up break. I want to show you guys the proper way to do push-ups. Okay, so just stage the camera. Well, no, I'm gonna keep going here. The way to do push-ups is to fuck it, I'll just do it. Okay, hold on. Let me just. Okay. Okay, hold on. Oh boy, how am I gonna do this? Let's see what I need. How is that? Okay, here we go. Alright, so the trick to it is you want to do a count. You want to do every 4. So you breathe in on the first one, and then breathe out second, breathe out on the third, breathe out on the fourth. So breathe in on the first one, breathe in, and then out second, third, fourth. And you want to count by 4s. So kind of segregate the numerical sequence in your mind. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Right? And what it does is warms up your back muscles. It's just great. It's just great. Warms everything up. Let's get back into the intellectual discussion though, because I'm really hitting points here. Okay, so the problem with homosexuality, bisexuality, is it, like, I think if I were to design the world, I would design it with, only heterosexual people. Reason being is then men, the brotherhood collectively, and then women, the sisterhood collectively, could kind of get along. There wouldn't be any internal conflicts of women being attracted to women and maybe seducing one another. And there wouldn't be any internal conflicts with men trying to seduce one another. And so, by the way, do a set of push-ups like throughout the day, jumping jacks, and then regular exercise that you might do as well. But this is like the minimum. Like sometimes people don't exercise because they're just not in the mood. So at least do something to get your energy going. Jumping jacks, some squats, have some weights nearby. Okay, but being gay, it's like, first of all, in a way, I don't know if it's appropriate that it be openly expressed. Like, heterosexual people, they don't. Well, they may openly express it by like looking with glances at the opposite gender. The concern of mine is, like I said, we don't want to disrespect the collective brotherhoods and collective sisterhood of humans. We need to be careful. And I was thinking maybe a labeling system where people could wear a wristband if they were hetero or bi or otherwise. And for the sake of practicality and hygiene, I think it's only in like school settings, especially younger. I think it's appropriate that there be dress codes and that people not get too into the whole, like, showing the whole cross-dressing. By the way, I think all these things are natural in the sense that they're natural, like they're like sincere and authentic acts that the person really wants to pursue. I don't know how. I mean, some of it may, like pedophilia, may be a result of harm. It may be a result of the past. These are all serious topics. Trying to just load it in to one video, so I appreciate people considering. Like I said, if people really cared about each other, they wouldn't want to seduce one another. They would respect one another. And there wouldn't be this concept of, everyone would be interested in marriage. They wouldn't, and so even, especially gays, I think when people dislike gays is because a lot of them, I think, are promiscuous. But all things that we need to consider for a more wholesome society where people can trust one another. And it's not about trusting people, it's just about position and whether you can trust someone. You don't have to force yourself to.